Please welcome Rob Braid.
Good afternoon. I was touched and honored when SHAFE asked me to do this for him today. I'm glad that Yvonne and the kids are here and family members. It's a pleasure to have met you all. Welcome. I first met SHAFE back in 1978 at a broadcasting convention in California that Gary Slade had brought me to. And I was a newbie at the time. I just started at SHOM, and SHAFE was a vet already. He'd been around Vancouver for a long time. I knew right away I was in the presence of a guy who was a true radio man, and I still feel that way about SHAFE. SHAFE started in 1969 at SHOM, CKGM-FM at the time in Montreal. Went out to Vancouver. He helped build SHOM. He went out to Vancouver, and he helped build that market as well. He had lots of stops in between. He was in Vancouver, CFOX, time at Q107, Pelmorex, Rock 101, etc. And certainly, I think as importantly as any of them, the spine of the Rockies, the stations that Gary put together, which were owned by Astral and now Bell. SHAFE is a biker, he's a musician, he's a student of Jungian psychology, which I think is probably why he's always been such a brilliant manager and loved by his staffs, which he has been. You know, I was reflecting on SHAFE and thinking that he's the nicest guy I know. Everybody who walks up to SHAFE smiles. Everybody's got a smile on their face because he's so sweet. I'm not sure that his shareholders would want to know this, but he is embarking upon a master's degree in liberal arts at night because he's building a new radio station called Roundhouse FM in Vancouver. And it's a wonderful concept. It's a mostly talk, partially music station, which is going to be different, and it's going to bring some life back to that genre of radio. Again, SHAFE is a true radio guy. And if anybody can change up radio, SHAFE can. Let's watch the video.
It was late 60s, SHOM FM. And in comes this guy. He had a mustache that would make any porn star from the 70s jealous.
Born to be wild.
1974, SHOM FM. I arrived into a zoo of crazies. And in the midst of all these crazies was this eye of the hurricane, Don SHAFER.
And I hear, this is 104.5 SHOM FM. SHAFE in the box.
Just this calm, cool, relaxed presence.
This is SHAFE Inside the Box from FM 99, the Mighty Fox.
In the early 80s, he was the program director at CFOX, and I thought he was a god.
He's a well-respected man about town.
I think SHAFE is one of the greatest radio guys in history, starting with his voice.
4:15 on a stunning West Coast afternoon.
He was killing us in the ratings over at CFOX. We started to have discussions about coming over and working for us at WIC, and was fortunate enough to land him.
He's one of these guys who has an understated charisma.
He makes everyone feel important and that their ideas count, because they do with Don.
He's a natural leader. He inspires people who work for him. There was a great dedication, a great devotion.
This is a man who is patient. He's very empowering to his staff. He has an incredible passion for radio. He really knew what he was doing.
Don was always on the leading edge of technology and innovation.
He was the first to go into the webcasting, into putting programming over the internet.
And that spirit of innovation, he brought that right into the formation of Toronto Star TV.
He went out and he fixed stations that needed fixing. He turned them around, he made them profitable.
I was planning to launch a national radio programming network, and we had a really tough economy then, and I needed somebody to make it happen.
A lot of people go into business just to make a buck. Don always wanted to make a difference.
He's given so much back to the industry through his career. He always had a very clear idea of what radio meant to the local community.
He knows that radio can be a force for good, and he's giving a voice to people who don't have as big a microphone as him.
He is passionate about his bikes, his cars, his women, but most importantly, the work that he does to improve the lives for all of us.
very philanthropic. He gives so much of his time to charities.
Don was and is a fantastic inspiration and resource for our organization.
Don doesn't just work, he crusades.
Disc jockey, music director, program director, general manager, now owner.
Brown House Radio. This generation's version is what my generation called full service radio.
His vision of what radio can be, coupled with his drive, have been incredible to witness.
After all that format stuff, he's going to throw out the book and start again with a station that's going to talk to Vancouver. Vancouver issues, Vancouver voices.
And I think it's going to be great for Vancouver. And I think it's going to be great for Don SHAFER.
Unfortunately, Shafe couldn't be here this afternoon to accept the award. I'm only kidding. Please join me in welcoming to the stage a guy who, as a result of whom the Canadian broadcasting system and indeed our whole country is the better, our friend, Don SHAFER. Come now.
Wow. That's so cool. Wow. That's wow. Can I don't know how to follow that. Wow. I didn't expect that. I've been trying to sneak a peek at the video for a week, and nobody would let me see it. I'm obviously honored to be here and grateful to everyone at Canadian Music Week. It's a real honor to share the stage with so many old friends and colleagues. Heartfelt thanks to my family who are with me today. My partner and wife, Yvonne. Any lights possible on? No. Anyways, heartfelt thanks to my family who are with me, my partner and wife, Yvonne, my daughter, Paisley, and her husband, James, my son, Evan, my son, Heath, who is joined by his son, my grandson, who has joined the press corps because he was up here taking pictures, which was kind of cool. Oliver, where are you? Okay, there you are. My daughter, Allie, and my sister, Chris, also our extended family, Tracy Friesen, who is our new program director at Roundhouse Radio, #2 employee of 3. So we're in the process of building out the team. Unfortunately, my daughter Shalyn and my stepdaughter Monique can't be with us today. I'd like to think that Shalyn, their sister, is here in spirit. I really have to thank a handful of owners and managers who were crazy enough to let me play with their radio stations, their TV stations. I'd like to thank each of you here today. This is my extended family. Everyone in every department and every chair at every station across Canada, including a newspaper called the Toronto Star, which made me feel at home. And it was a little strange being the only broadcaster in a newspaper organization or a print organization, and probably one of the best 7 years I've ever spent. John, thank you. I've learned tons from everybody in every one of those stations and every one of those chairs, all the music reps, promoters, journalists, artists, managers, advertisers, community groups, and the friends I've made. It's been an amazing journey, and obviously it's not going to stop. For those darker times, and there were a few, in between jobs, or when I was just simply lost, and there's a long story there, but I won't get into it. I'd like to thank Yvonne, obviously the chief, Gary Slate. Lots of these people reached out a hand when I needed it, and I'm forever grateful. Jimmy Waters, Pierre Morissette, John Wright, Jim McLaughlin, for checking on me in between those times. Eric Rothschild, Eric, for organizing the roundhouse table. That was a real thrill. I want autographed copies, please. Gail and Cliff Goldman, Neil Dixon, John Hondrick, Roy Hennessy, Ron Bremner, Ray Daniels, Sam and Bruce. Bruce, are you still here? Thank you so much. Bruce was instrumental in helping us find a temporary office on our little radio station. So we're moving out next week, but to our own digs, but thank you. Obviously, Terry Mulligan, Mark Burley, Program Director of the Year again. Rick Pusher, who was instrumental in taking my phone call. He's a good friend. I said, listen, I got this crazy idea in Vancouver for a radio station, and 24 hours later he called me back and said, let's do it. And so we're, building one of my dreams. And last but not least is my coach and therapist, Dr. Ann Newlands. She has been terrific and is probably why I'm still in this business. I've always loved radio and the magic that comes from that little box, and especially the people who make all media. So you guys are very, very special, and the work you do is incredibly important. Gifted storytellers, artists, and creative people from all disciplines will always find a way to be heard, as will journalists who are committed to witnessing the world we live in. This makes for great programming that can help affect positive and social change on air, online, and in print. I believe that the companies that encourage innovation and allow creative teams to do what they do best will be the most successful. There was a whole other part in that, but I took it out. You can. I'm full of gratitude to my family for each of you, a great ownership group that I'm privileged to be part of, 4 families that have put a lot of faith in our ability to bring a new radio station format to fruition. I'm obviously pretty excited about it, and I'm anxious as Tracy and I and the team build a new team, and hopefully in the next month we hire 30 some odd people and go give her. In closing, I wanted to leave you with a few thoughts, and they've been kind of an important part of the last couple of years for me. I was quite struck when Sally Armstrong came to see us in Kelowna, and she said in one of her speeches that there's no such thing as an innocent bystander. You're either part of the solution or part of the problem. And there's a guy who's a Irish poet from Ireland who is now living in the Pacific Northwest on a little island. His name is David White, and he's got some great poetry, and if you ever find yourself wandering or getting lost, he's a pretty special guy to read. And there's one line from one poem that I always was quite touched by, and I would ask you to check it out sometime. But he says that anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Anything or anyone, any person, any company that does not bring us alive is too small for us. Thank you very much.